Good morning, everyone on Facebook land. This is Debbie Balfour coming to you today, this morning on live. And I'm afraid, let me see if I can actually go into the live to see if there are any questions to bear with me.
Mhm. No problem.
It's better to do it on my phone because on the laptop it doesn't always come up real time. So okay, I've got my phone going. So welcome everyone. I'm so excited to have a guest today for my Facebook for this Facebook Live. My name is Debbie Balfour. If you don't already know, you're on my profile, so you should know. And I'm a real estate investment success coach. I help corporate professionals create their personalized real estate investing strategy so that you can ditch that 9 to 5 while enjoying financial freedom. I really help you understand who you are as an investor and how that aligns to the strategies that are out there. So you're not wasting your time looking for, trying all different strategies or suffering from analysis paralysis. I also help you be productive in your business, start setting up your business so that you can scale and take care of and ensure that you're using your time efficiently. So that's who I am. And a little bit about what I have to offer right now. I am offering a 5-week online slash group program that starts on October 9th. This is for new real estate investors or those who feel stuck to help you jumpstart your real estate investing. And it's doing exactly what I just mentioned. It's helping you by the end of this program, you'll understand who you are as an investor and your identity, and also be able to, and what real estate investing strategies are best for you. That's what you'll be able to take away from this program. The way it's set up, it's 45 minutes that's sent out at the beginning of each week in videos. They're bite-sized, smaller videos for you to go through at your own pace, and then meet with me at the end of the week in a 1-hour hot seat coaching session, where you, along with others in the program, will be able to come together, ask me questions. You can send those questions ahead of time or on the call, and it will be recorded for you so that you can keep going, remove any roadblocks as you go along. You will have homework, so don't expect it's just videos. I'm all about implementing as you go. So you will have worksheets and homework to get things done as you go through this 1 week. Right now, it's being offered for $97 because this is my pilot program, my first rollout of this. I only have 15 seats available, and at this time I have 10 left. And this is the first time I'm advertising it, actually. So do sign up before it's gone. There is a QR code on the screen right now for you to, just scan that QR code, and you'll be able to register for it. Or on my profile, there's a discovery call link on how to book a discovery call with me. So just book that with me to find out more. I have one more program too that I'm launching in, where did it go? I jumped too many. And it's called the Real Estate Investor Magnet Facebook Lead Generation. So this is for whether you're new at investing or whether you've been investing for a while and you really want to increase your leads, your client, you're getting the more investors and the right investors that you're connecting with, and really increasing your network. So this program is for you, very much investor focused. We drill into like how to use Canva, how to use all the features within Facebook, and how to use ChatGPT to help you create great content to share. So this is a really cool one. I've already sold 3 seats for this one, so I've got 10 more. No, my math doesn't work. 12 more left here on this. So it is also another pilot program. It's kicking off on November 20th, and the same format as the one before. So get in while you can, because once this pilot program is over, this one program, the price will go up. So scan the QR code to register or book a discovery call with me to find out if this is right for you. Awesome. How you can work with me? I do one-on-one coaching, so we can, we can set up a one-on-one package. I have the 5-week online group programs. Also have a Real Estate Investor Accelerate Academy. That's a group program, and I have a mastermind which includes one-on-one in there. So there's many different ways for you to work with me. We can even set up some special ways too that works for you. So do book a discovery call if you'd like to find out more. So that's enough about me. I want to introduce my guest today. With me is Alyssa Meis. Alyssa and I met actually in a workshop recently, and I was so excited hearing about what she was doing. I had to connect with her and beg her to come on a live with me so that I can share with my network. So we're going to talk today about finance and mindset. What Alyssa describes what we're going to talk about today is, are you ready to empower yourself with tools and nourish your soul and your bank account? We're talking how to remove your money limiting beliefs and feelings using divine feminine finance. Now, she has feminine in here, but this is not just for women. She applies masculinity within there too. So it's not just for women. So women, men out there, don't feel left out by this conversation. We're going to go through, learn the 3 keys to overcome your inner money blocks like shame and guilt, align your real estate your real estate investments with your deepest values, spiritual beliefs, and have more money in your hands and your bank account. So a brief bio about Alyssa, and then we're going to go into deeper dive into her background. But Alyssa empowers heart-centered, mission-driven business owners to transform their relationship with money, which we all need, through self-love, divine connection, and financial education. This is a really cool about Alyssa, and then we'll ask her more about this background. But Alyssa is actually a former Catholic nun who now works as a financial, spiritual, and emotional mentor. So she's on a mission to empower people to be deeply connected to their inner source of love and to have more money in their hands. So awesome. I am, so excited. There's a bunch of people on our live. I can see there. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Sandy. Love to see you guys on here. I see Tracy and Anna. And so people are coming on. So
Awesome.
now enough about me, Alyssa. I am going to I'm really curious. We connected, like I said, through the workshop, and I heard you. You were in the hot seat, and you were just talking about what you were doing, etc. And I was like, I've got to find out more. So I was curious more about. So we're going to go through a few things here. So I'm curious about your divine feminine finance. What does that mean? And I know you're a former nun, so want to find out more about about your past and how did that now influence this, how you see money and wealth building, because that seems like total opposites of the coin. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie. I just want to thank you first for inviting me to spend this hour with your community and your audience. And I'm really excited to be able to share with you and just the more we can support each person on their journey of wealth building and everything is what I want. So any way I can help with that, it's beautiful to connect with people like you that are doing the same thing. So yeah, I just actually to say, even before I was a Catholic sister, I was actually a nurse. So I first started out as a nurse, and I was actually earning over $100,000 a year. And I had plenty of income. It was like a really beautiful way of supporting people and helping people as a nurse. But there was something that as I was taking care of clients, patients, and their wounds, their like physical health wounds, there was a part of me that felt that there was something much deeper that I could contribute to a deeper healing. And so to make a really long story short, I ended up deciding to become a Catholic sister because I really connected with an experience of God's love in a way that just transformed my life and my perspective on the way that I wanted to help people. And the work that I wanted to do. So I ended up leaving my cushy nursing salary and becoming a Catholic sister, and which meant that I had a vow of poverty. And that meant that basically I'm tracing like a little bit of the relationship with money that has been part of my money story, my journey. And so I was just very drawn to having that spiritual connection for myself and supporting others with that and learning how to do that. So basically it was shifting from this huge transition of going from having a big salary and then going to have a vow of poverty and transitioning with that. So my relationship with money changed a lot. And so just to give context for people that may or may not know much about like, what does it mean to have a vow of poverty? A couple details that just paint the picture is it looks like you have no personal bank account or income. You don't receive a salary or payment. We lived from donations. So the only money that we would get basically personally is a $5 emergency fund, which was $5 cash in our pocket in case we needed something when we were out and about. And so it was a big difference for me, of course. And we would ask for donations of food and fundraising and all of that. So I was put in charge of our fundraising for my community. And I started learning about development, which for those who know the nonprofit sector, development in this context means that you set up a program where you're fundraising for your mission and ministry. And so when I realized, I started learning about a little bit more holistic perspective of planning that we needed to learn about in my specific community that I was in. And it was a big eye opener for me. And I started realizing that our relationship with money was very emergency based. It was basically putting out fires, which just has to do with phases of growth and development in any organization. But what happened is that I started learning how to do fundraising in a way that was a little bit more building the foundations. And we had a building project that we wanted to build a retreat center for our ministry. And basically I realized we needed a much more sustainable plan and a better relationship with money. And so what I started discovering and learning and implementing was that I needed to raise, like I took the things I learned and put a plan in place that laid the foundation to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for the retreat center. And through that journey, I learned and I saw the importance of money as a vehicle of love and for good on a communal level. And that was really very eye-opening for me and a very stressful experience. It was for anyone who's worked in the nonprofit sector, you know that you wear many hats. And even a business owner, like it's actually the same thing, like starting your own business, it's very similar process of wearing all the hats or many hats at once in many stages of business growth. So what ended up happening for me is I saw this aspect of money and how important it was and powerful it was. And I also noticed in my own journey and the context that I was in that there were so many mixed messages about money that were happening on the religious level, the cultural level, so many different messages that were very conflicting. So for example, money is the root of all evil, that's what people remember, but it's the love of money is the root of all evil. And so some people, depending on how they interpret that can cause so many problems for them in their relationship with money. And even when you have a vow of poverty, and in a lot of spiritual contexts, not all of them, but what happens is poverty and scarcity can often be considered as spiritually superior to wealth and riches. And that creates a whole host of challenges when you're actually trying to provide for your family or reach certain goals in your business or whatever it is, even if it's just like somewhere in the background or in the unconscious. And it's also like the effect of that kind of messaging is that riches and wealth are associated with selfishness, greed, even sin. And so because of all of those conflicting messages, I realized like how basically how messy money can be, our relationship with money can be. And so I realized that I needed to decide what was true for me. And I needed to discover what were others' beliefs and values and wounds and conditionings and what were my own, and to choose what felt true for me in my being, in my bones, and to get rid of the rest. And let that be how I could improve, the beginning of how I improved my relationship with money and wealth.
That is so interesting. So you went from being a nurse, then to being a nun, then to fundraising for these huge amounts of money, still as a nun, right? So lots of transitions here. So you're no longer a nun. So what compelled you to, now give up your role as a nun and leave that community?
Yeah, I always say the two most common questions people ask me once they know that I was a nun at one point in my life is, why did you become a nun and why did you leave? so I already mentioned the first one. So yeah, there are many aspects or reasons why I ended up deciding to leave. It was not an easy decision. It was a very hard decision, as one can imagine. But one of the biggest reasons was that I realized that I didn't want to live a celibate path for the rest of my life, and that I wanted to have a family. And so that was a big part of it. But in order for me to get to that discovery, I needed to be really honest with myself. And I'll share a story here with you of what happened when I realized that. It was, so as a sister, we would have like 3 hours of silent prayer in the morning every day, and had a very strong, what we call a contemplative life, as a foundation of our ministry and mission. So in the process of these different moments of prayer, I remember this passage from the gospel coming through over and over again, and it's a common one that many people would know, even if you're not Christian, and that is the great commandment of love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, that just kept echoing in me, and I kept thinking, I don't know what those last two words mean, love yourself. And in my own experience of prayer, I started just really reflecting on it, contemplating it, and trying to understand, like, I have no idea what it means to love myself. And I realized that was the foundation of all love, that the love of God and neighbor depended on loving myself. And so that started for me a deeper layer within my own spiritual journey, that I started just looking, learning, trying to within me as well as outside, how to learn how to love myself and what that actually meant. And so that was a big step for me, because part of learning to love myself meant being connected to my heart's deepest desires. And that the more that I could connect with those deepest desires and realize that they weren't contrary to what even God wanted for me, ultimately God loved me and wanted my heart's deepest desires as well. And so when I really connected with that, I thought, oh my goodness, I really want a change in this path, this specifically, like being able to still have spiritual path, but as a layperson in Catholic terms, and not as a celibate person living in community. So that was a really hard decision. And it was one of the biggest the biggest consequences of that decision was actually financial and economic, because what that meant, deciding to leave my community, was that I hadn't received income for 13 years, and I had no savings, no retirement. So I literally had to start from scratch. And I realized that one of the most important and urgent things I had to invest in was my own financial empowerment and education.
That is a big change from like nothing for 13 years. even as a child, children do chores and get allowances.
Exactly.
Get paid. So what did you do? How did you get started down this path that you are right now?
Yeah. So I really just started studying, learning, talking to people, making new friends that I could talk about money with. Because anyone in the personal growth and development space knows that the people that you surround yourself with are really important in terms of our own like formation and growth. And so I had a few friends who were actually entrepreneurs, and I had never really, that hadn't been on my radar. I had some people in my family had done a little bit of business, but it wasn't like their main thing. We were all healthcare professionals in my family. And so these friends who had their own businesses, I really was like, oh, wow, this is a whole nother perspective. And so that really helped to start getting a sense of finance and business. And I also just started from the basic personal finance, started with like tracking, budgeting, and then learning about investments, retirement plans, etc. And I made a lot of mistakes, because you can't learn without making mistakes. I was, just to say one example, I started investing in options, calls and puts, and like getting signs sent to me. And it was fine for a while. And then I lost a chunk of money, and I was like, yeah, I think I need to build a stronger foundation first before I do something that risky. So I learned about risk. I learned about, all of those things just became part of my journey and the trials and errors. And eventually I found some financial tools that were the best that I had seen so far. Obviously tools always depend on what your goals are and what you need. But at that point in time, became very clear that in order to build a strong, or in order to build long-term wealth, I needed to build a strong financial foundation. And so when I discovered the power of some of these tools, and I saw what a difference it could make in my life and others' lives, I ended up deciding to like do training and get licensed to be able to share them with others too. So the last few years have been all of this journey, and I've gained a lot of wisdom from both sides of money, if you want to say it that way, like about poverty and then building wealth, embracing wealth and abundance. And one of the things I've realized that there is a very big difference between waiting until this is not like a sexy thing about talking about emergency, but when it comes to finance, but one of the things I learned because of those two different sides of the perspective that I lived with money was the difference between waiting until an emergency happens to deal with it versus planning for emergencies as an inevitable part of life and business. And so part of the building block for me this is part of what I've learned, the building block of a solid financial foundation includes anticipating emergencies, which include health, major life events, accidents, and then planning for inflation. Because right now, I think a lot of people are feeling that in a way, especially in relation to retirement. And so that's as much an important thing that can become an emergency. And so just these different kinds of principles, even how to save on taxes is really big, really important. That depends on your country, of course, and your tax system. I know you're in Canada, based in the US. But so there, of course, are going to be some differences in regards to that. But wherever you are, there are ways to legally save on taxes, which is important. And so it's the difference for me there is I realized you can plan for these things, and it doesn't mean you're living from fear or planning even from fear of scarcity. You're planning from love for yourself, for your family, for your beyond you, your community. So those were some of the things that have just been like big shifts in that learning process for me.
So Alyssa, I mean, you've said that you're in the financial industry and you've got a partner too, and your partner even looks at investing, real estate investing. She's more versed on that side, but you look at that. So what are the things you do in your business from the financial perspective?
Right,
And
exactly.
we'll go into the coaching part.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things when I met Debbie first, and she was telling me that she teaches people how to do real estate investing. Well, the tools that I offer are really good. They marry really well with real estate investing, because it's basically like, for example, if oftentimes I've had clients that are invest in real estate. And so they often need a place, an account to store and actually ideally grow money while they're like, if they flip houses or depending on which niche they're in real estate investing. And so we basically can provide accounts that can help hold your money and grow it and then you can take the money out, invest it in your, use it to invest in your real estate investment, and then put it back in and take it in and out. So it makes it a little bit more liquid than some that don't have good interest. And that just like a normal checking or even a high yield savings account. And it also, you have the upside potential of the market without the downside risk. So there's a lot of different aspects of the tools that we build according to each person's need. So basically, depending on a person comes to us, they tell us what their financial goals are, what they want and need. And then we build these accounts for them based on what's going to best meet their needs. So it's really powerful because it's flexible in that way. And it's not like a one size fits all tool.
Awesome. So let's get into the inner side of things, because you told me that you discovered that, you couldn't work with your clients on the financial without working on their, you call that the outer work, and without working on the inner work. So, from your experience, so you went from poverty, to now financial education and empowerment. So you've seen both sides of that. From your experience being on both sides, what's something that people need to know that isn't, common knowledge?
Yeah, I think one of the spiritual foundations that has really helped me in my relationship with money, and when I share it with people, I find it's really powerful for them too, is that everything is sacred. So when you come from this place that all is sacred, this is true for any spiritual path, whatever the tradition or religion is. And as long as it's not like a fundamentalistic approach to religion, but a little bit more of this experience that everything is sacred. And so in that perspective, spirit and matter are not separate. It's all one. And from a quantum physics perspective, matter is just a more condensed form of spirit and energy. And so I say that because oftentimes, depending on our spiritual background and what we've been taught, matter is considered inferior and spirit is considered superior. And that creates huge divorce in our psyche, essentially, between money, as an example of something very specific in matter and material, and our own spiritual values, beliefs, even our family, like business, etc. And so that's one of the biggest rifts I've personally experienced, and I've seen for a lot of people, that creates so much unnecessary conflict in their relationship with money and in their finances. And so when you come from this place that all is sacred, that includes money. Money is included in that. Money is sacred. And what that also means is that money is not a problem. And that might sound obvious, but honestly, the vast majority of I think, people that I know and have worked with would say that they have moments in their lives where money feels like a problem, like a tension, a stress, anxiety, etc. And so what this for me really speaks to is that money is not a problem. Money is actually a reflection of our inner world, our own wounds, our values, our beliefs, and our relationships with ourselves. So money is a mirror, is essentially what it is. So anytime you hear someone saying this about money or that about money or whatever, it's literally okay, that's their belief that they're putting on money. It's actually, money is neutral. And so if you want to improve your relationship with money, then you need to improve your relationship with yourself and to go on an inner journey. So to say it another way, it's really a learning self-love in relationship with money is another kind of key for me in improving one's finances and relationship with money, is cultivating your own inner sanctuary. So it's where within us is where we access love directly. And anything that gets in the way of that are just wounds and false beliefs that keep us living in fear, scarcity, lack, shame, guilt on primarily unconscious levels, but also some conscious levels. And so the more that we can gain awareness in our own inner world, in the way that we're relating, thinking, our beliefs, our feelings, they're all just codes that you can unlock through love, through self-love.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know I want, like, I want really nice things in life, and I want to be able to have more time to, volunteer and to give more, and all these things. But at the same time, I always fall back to, like, if somebody asks me, well, how much money do you want or whatever, I'm like, well, I don't need that much, because I feel like, I need to say that, and and I question myself that, yeah, that I'm being too grand, I'm asking too much, and kind of, yeah. So, what you're talking about, how does this connect to, like, that inner and the outer, and the self-love? How does it connect to overcoming the blocks?
Yeah, one aspect of it is really having a holistic approach to finance. What happens often in our lives is that we tend to compartmentalize everything. So like, okay, this is my job, this is my family, this is my social life, as well as this is my physical health, this is my spiritual world, this is my financial money, and so things are in like these little boxes and can be kind of separate. And what we don't realize is that it's all one. Like it's whole. And you as a person are also whole: mind, body, spirit. And if we don't approach finance from a holistic perspective, my personal perspective and experience is that it just doesn't work. It can be like, because you're not addressing the underlying blocks that are actually there. So it's like building, like, you can take a million financial education courses, learn financial literacy, and all of that is super important. It's one of the pillars that I include in my support for people. However, if you are learning that on a foundation that has cracks in it, then it's like building a house on a foundation that has cracks in it, or building the walls and the ceiling is what I'm trying to say, on a foundation that's cracks in it. Just yesterday, I had a call with a client and she had to reschedule because she said, my house has cracks in the foundation. And the inspector came early, so hence she had to reschedule our call. He came at the time of our call. And so I was like, that's exactly the point. Like, what are blocks? Say, for example, and thank you for sharing and being vulnerable, because like that example you just shared about, I always find myself like, yes, I'm super, like, you teach people about financial intelligence.
Yep, exactly.
And you also recognize that within that, there are certain blocks. Shame and guilt are one of the biggest ones when it comes to wealth building, because, yeah, of things I've already mentioned. And so it can be helpful to look at those as like cracks in the foundation. And there's nothing wrong. And the way that we address them is through this holistic approach where it's like, okay, so what is it when I say I don't need that much, or whatever limitation that we're putting? It's really going inside and getting very real and raw. What beliefs are behind me saying that? Why am I saying that? And you literally just connect with yourself in a loving curiosity, no judgment, and literally just get curious. What is actually going on here? And as you develop those skills of emotional, sometimes you can call it emotional intelligence. I like calling it self-love, because it's cultivating a deep connection with yourself and self-knowledge that really allows you to have the strongest foundation, both emotionally, spiritually, and financially, so that as you learn and grow and build out your portfolio and your investments and all the other things, that it's actually built on this like straight line to your heart, full of love, that like everything you do is in alignment with your values.
I love that. Yeah, really taking that holistic approach, and and I do have a major problem with putting myself first. It's love everybody else and put myself for last. So definitely I
Absolutely.
need some inner work there, and I can see that. But yeah, I like that you were saying, we compartmentalize everything. and but seeing it as a holistic, as it's all one, and it all comes from from ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
so
even like with love, with self-love, like what you're sharing about putting, we often think, especially this is common for women, it's also common for moms. It's all like, but believe me, coming from the background of being a nurse and a nun, like I'm very familiar with not putting myself first, like
mhm,
putting yourself last. And that is what is equated with also being self-giving, self-generous. And so we think the opposite of that when we do actually put ourselves first and
mhm,
do actually learn what self-love is. The barrier we have to get over with that is to realize that self-love is not the same as selfishness. It's the total opposite.
mm.
And that is, again, it's one of the inner barriers that I work with people to discover what self-love actually feels like inside of them.
That got me right there, the self-love versus selfishness, because I think, yeah, that's exactly the mentality where I'm coming from. It's
Yeah,
selfish, and same thing with wanting too much money. It's like it's selfish, and it's yeah,
exactly.
it's yeah. So yeah, it sounds good. So how does this understanding of of our inner works and self-love, etc., how does that help us to make financial decisions
Yeah,
and align it with our values?
yeah, absolutely. So from this inner experience and inner connection, the truth is that every single one of us is love. You are love. Your very being, your very presence is love. So love is not something we find or seek outside of ourselves. It's actually the fountain and the source lies within us. So the more that you connect to your very essence, the more clear you are about who you are, what really matters to you, what you truly desire for yourself, for others, for the world, for the earth, and how to get there. And so money becomes a catalyst and an amplifier of your dreams of a better world, a better humanity, a better community, a better home. And so that's the bridge. The bridge is this deep interconnection to yourself, to the divine within you, or whatever a person believes as their higher presence, higher power. And with that, wealth becomes a vehicle of love. That's how money and wealth become this beautiful like gift and vehicle where greed, shame, and guilt have nothing to do with it. It's simply like they have no place there, no hold on you, because you're set free from the ickiness that some people project onto money, because money becomes a mirror of your inner beauty, truth, love, and it feels really good. Like when you learn to work through the things that have gotten in the way of that kind of clean, clear crystal stream running through you, and money money being part of that currency and current of love, it feels really good. And then you're more free to love yourself and others in both material and immaterial ways. Of course, it's not only material, it's immaterial things too, but we need the material things to protect and create this safe space, sanctuary for ourselves and our loved ones and for the world.
Wow, this is pretty heavy stuff this morning. Well, I hope everybody can really filter
I know
this
I tend to go a little deep and
early
heavy
in
on
the morning.
spiritual
No, no,
stuff.
no, it's great. It's why I wanted to chat with you, because I know that this is that a lot of my network would connect with the things that you're saying and find it
Yeah.
valuable. So at the beginning, I did that intro where we were talking about the three keys. So it's sounding like this is like, I guess these are the three keys. So what's something that you had to learn that wasn't common knowledge to overcoming your blocks?
Yeah, self-love is definitely one of the keys, the foundations. Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that. There's more there, but I think what I just said about, but self-love for sure is one of the keys.
And what are some of the other ones? What are the other
So
two?
I would say having a holistic approach is really important, because when I started, well, this for my own personal thing, but I see this is common for a lot of people, is that you might be learning about the financial stuff, but there's something that isn't quite right and you don't know what it is. And so when you bring in a holistic approach, it really helps to like clarify, oh, I'm having a hard time learning this technique or this about even compound interest, for example, as like a building block of financial intelligence, making compound interest work for you, to give an example. It can, when you have your values clear, then you know how you can use compound interest to help you live according to those values, if that makes sense. So self-love is a part of that.
So whenever when we're learning about finance, when we're doing anything financial, if we don't have that self-love, we start limiting our scope in our mind of what we want to learn, how we see it, how we understand it, how we can use it.
Yes.
That's kind of what you're
And
saying.
another reason why is because what happens anytime we're learning new information, our intent is really important. And this goes a little bit more into what I teach in my support with people, and it's a little bit dense, but I'll just say, basically, the simplest way of saying it is there's two main primary intentions that we have in any moment. And one is the intent to control or protect that comes from our ego. And the other is the intent to love. And if we have the intent to love, which means we are learning how to love, we may not know in that moment what's most loving for ourselves or others, but we're open to learning. That's when any new information, whether it's financial, it's learning how to make ice cream, it's like, it doesn't matter. Any new information that we're taking in, if we do it with the intention to love ourselves and others, we're going to actually receive and adapt that information in a much deeper way. And it has to do with our nervous system, but I won't go into that right now. I don't think we have time to go into how our nervous system works with stress, scarcity, and abundance.
Well, you know what, as you were saying, that is something that I've spoken to people, because, from very young, I speak to people, large audiences, right?
Okay.
And so it started from very young. But so that's why, I've been good at, standing in front of a stage, etc. And, people that say to me, like, oh, I can't go, even my kids, I can't speak in front of them, it makes me nervous. And I always say that from my approach is, if I look at it as not about me, but what I'm giving to others, like I'm sharing something that I'm excited about, I'm educating them, I'm giving to them. I don't care about the judgment of me, because it's not about me anymore. It's about what I'm giving them. Then that takes the whole nervousness away, because it's not, I'm not going up there with pride in mind, or like, they're judging me, they're judging the way I'm dressed, they're judging, the way I talk or whatever. It's more about, the value that I'm giving to them, because the love that I'm sharing, and the love of of what I enjoy, and the value that I'm bringing to them. So yeah, as you were saying that, that resonates to me, and I'm going to have to remember that everything that I'm learning, etc., it's not about me, it's about what I can do for others, and like, yeah,
Right.
what I
And
can do with that.
when I'm listening to you, I'm hearing that when you're connected to what I call your true self. So there's like the true self and the false self can be called the ego. The true self is not the ego. So the ego self is the one that's afraid of other people's criticism, their rejection. And that's the part that would get you nervous and
Yes.
scared, because it doesn't feel safe to be seen. Now, with self-love and showing up, you do need to be connected to yourself and be fully present. And that's what you're describing, is you were showing up because you connected to something deeper. And that
Yes.
deeper part of you is the real you, it's the true you. So that's the difference between like this self-connection that I'm referring to is this true presence, the power of your own presence. That's what you were accessing in that moment. And that's what I teach people how to access, so that their finances become fueled by their inner fire, by the power of their own presence.
Awesome. Wow. Yeah, this is, I am learning, I'm getting coaching right now. And so I'm going to take this away and really focus on that sort of the thing, because yeah, coming from it from different perspective, because it's like, I understand that, like I said, from like showing up and teaching others, and that sort of stuff. So now I need to equate it to everything else in my life. right?
Absolutely.
And not limit myself there. So we've been talking about the like inner, our mindsets and limiting beliefs and etc. But you did say to me, well, I know this is a real estate community, and I know a lot of people are getting into real estate investing in the U.S.
Mhm.
So, and then I've got, other US investors here too on the call. So, can you talk to me a bit more about, tools and things like that
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
offer us?
So the just because anyone in the that knows enough about financial tools knows that each country has their different legislation and laws and codes. So the tools that I use are based in the US. But anyone who is like opening a corporation in the US to do real estate investing would be able to access these tools. And hopefully we are planning on expanding to Canada. So I just so that people are aware of that too. If you're not at the stage that you're doing US investments yet, we still can possibly support you with the actual tools. I can support you with everything else, of course, too, but I like to give people both the inner and the outer work, of course, the tools as well. So basically for real estate, what I mentioned earlier were accounts that allow you to save large sums of money and still have a decent interest growth on them, and the ability to take the money in and out as you need to make investments. So that's one of the major helpful tools that we have. And honestly, and this is just because I'm not aware of what kinds of accounts like that are available in Canada, and so I don't know how to compare it. I'm not sure if this exists in Canada. So anyways, if anyone has questions about that, we feel free to schedule a call with me. But basically it leverages an account so that people can have a way of saving money in getting the upside potential of the market without the downside risk. So they're like indexed accounts, but they're not inside the stock market. So it's a very good interest growth, but not with the risk of loss, if that makes sense.
And that's not insurance too, is it?
There's some of the accounts are like insurance, but it's
Okay.
like
So
it's based.
it's sounding like what we have as whole life, and but we have something similar, but it
Okay.
comes with insurance. So
Yeah.
there's an insurance component, and then and then you add a little bit more,
Yes.
but it's a
Yes.
higher priced insurance and infinite banking kind of
Okay.
perspective.
Yeah. Some of the accounts are definitely related to those kinds of tools and features. Yeah.
But some aren't. You don't have to have
Right.
the insurance part of it.
Yes, it has the insurance part too. But basically, that's what I was saying earlier, that
Okay.
based on what a person's goals are, that's where we sit down with them and say, okay, what are the things that you need? What are you looking for right now? And then based on those tools, we design something for them. And if they want the insurance feature, if they want to have that be part of it, then we can
Oh,
provide,
okay. Right.
if
So
that
you
makes
can
sense.
choose whether you
Yeah.
want insurance or not, but you're
Yeah.
still able to grow and borrow
Yes, exactly.
on a
Correct.
awesome. That sounds interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you in the US, you've got so much more opportunity
I
to
know.
write
That's,
things off, to tax shelter, to than we do here. So
yeah,
that's why
tax.
a lot of Canadians are looking to the US because the taxation rules are very different, but also our housing market is just crazy, and
Yeah.
then we get taxed to death on top of it. So it's definitely uh, you know a lot of people are looking to the US to
Yeah.
invest in there. So
Yeah. For sure.
you're a coach like I am, and so you have programs to offer, etc. So can you tell us more about what you have to offer?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would love to. I do one-on-one support, but recently I wanted to make a group program and put a lot of what I support people with into a group program just to make it easier, more affordable and accessible for people. So I am launching a group program now, and basically it's called Divine Feminine Finance: Birth a New Relationship with Money in 6 weeks. So it gives you like the building blocks and foundations of transforming your relationship with money in this way I've been describing in the call.
Awesome. And when you finish with that program, what are you going to get out of it?
Yeah. So basically, it would allow you to have this deeper connection with yourself, the self-love tools that I was describing before, where that allow you to transform if you experience any kind of conflicting, and it might even be unconscious, so you may not be aware, but it would allow you to transform guilt, shame, fear, scarcity, and financial procrastination with that is often I find people experience a lot. So you'll be able to transform those emotions that limit your wealth building journey through love and spiritual connection and connecting with your divine birthright of abundance. And then you'll develop habits and strategies that not only improve your finances, but in the short term, but also set you up for a lifetime of abundance. And then finally, like I was describing above, it will help you to amplify, be more clear about your deepest values, dreams, your sacred work in the world through financial empowerment. So you'll be able to amplify more the things you care about the most through finance.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Before we wrap up, I know that you have a special offer.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yes,
Oh,
because it's the first time I'm doing it as a group program, I wanted to give it as a special offer price. So in the future, I'll likely be charging more closer to 1,000 for the program, but right now I'm still launching it with the special offer of $444. So if anyone is at, they just want to find out more, feel free to schedule a call with me. I opened up my calendar for the next few days to take calls and meet with people. And I'd be happy to get on the phone with you and share more and connect with you and hear about what your goals are. And then if anyone happens to be ready and like, I don't have time for a call, just, but I'm interested, then you can register here by scanning the payment link and processing.
awesome. So on the screen right now, I have, if you over here is that the QR code to scan if someone's ready to just like, yeah, this is exactly what I want. You can go ahead and scan this and register on there. But if you want to know more and figure out whether this program is right for you, then this is the QR code here will go to her calendar and you can book into her calendar and to find out more about the program and to see whether it's right for you. And then
Yeah.
Alyssa, you had also if maybe you can pop it in the chat with me
This
and then
in the
I can
Zoom
pop it
chat.
into, yeah, and then I can pop it into the
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
into the live. But also this has a community. So if you're loving what you're hearing Alyssa talking about, you're not quite ready to, to get into a program, but you want to be part of a community that's discussing these things. Alyssa does have a Facebook group that she started. So I'm going to pop that into the live right now for anyone that if you want to go ahead and join that group to become part of that. Um, you know, this is inviting everybody to join that too. So
Yeah. Thank you, Debbie.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for this. It's really funny because like we were on this group program workshop for 3 days, and every time Melissa came on, she was talking about her program and what she was doing. I was like, I need to connect with her. I want her, I wanted her to share what she's doing with our group because I know so many of us have this mindset around money that we're struggling with. But she was also connected with me because whenever I spoke on it, Alyssa was like, oh, I want to connect with Debbie. I want to hear what she's doing. I want to see how, we could work together. So we were talking about the vibrations and the, how it's amazing that, like separately, we were both thinking the same thing. And there was like 100 and something people in that workshop, right?
Yeah,
So
like
it's funny
150.
that,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was really funny that we were like, and we were virtual. We weren't in a room together or anything like that. So it's amazing how big, you know, our intuition, our vibrations, our thing works. It's just, you know, so we need to start listening more to that inner part of us,
Yeah,
definitely, because it certainly guides us when we listen to it. So, amazing. Thank
absolutely.
you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody that joined me on the live today. I hope that you got lots of value out of it. And do join Alyssa's group like right away before you forget. And Alyssa, we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so
Right
much,
here.
Debbie. And I look forward to meeting those who want to connect. Blessings to
Okay. Awesome. Take care.
you too. Bye.
Bye.